It is the end of October, and the crew on Astarte Farm CSA is working hard to get the garlic planted, pull in the last fall harvests, and prepare our soils for winter. In one of the rotations that Ellen has developed, the garlic ground gets a generous 2-inch layer of compost prior to planting. You can clearly see the ongoing biological activity in the warm compost as it continues to breathe after spreading it in the cool morning air. Oh, if only it was as easy to do as it is to speak about it. Our hydraulic drop spreader is somewhat prone to clogging. Sometimes if the compost is too wet, it forms a blocking bridge above the agitator that feeds the final spreader drum. Sometimes a slightly aggressive loading scoop will pick up some clay from the compost storage area, and that sticky material can seal off the drop opening. Sometimes an errant piece of pallet wood or a single stone will clog up the works, but inevitably it happens when the hopper is full. Our newest employee, Sam, has gotten up on top of the spreader to help keep the compost moving by jabbing a shovel handle down into the works. His steady efforts help Danny to keep the compost flowing, and finally the job is done. Some raking will certainly be required to even out the compost after all the stops and starts. This section of the field has been laid out in our new bed spacing, and each of the paths has been filled with wood chips or chopped leaves. This whole area was spaded this spring prior to being covered with ground cloth and then planted in winter squash and pumpkins. Any of our soils that were covered in ground cloth suffered somewhat from the pounding rains that deluged the area this year. The ground cloth reduced the soil armoring, but it is still a minor concern. With this year's heavy compost application and the final thick straw mulch once the garlic is planted, this patch should recover quickly and be good to go for the 5 or 6 years without any additional disturbance. We have 2 old wooden dibblers that are still seeing good service. Danny and Sadie are having to push hard in some places to bottom out the wooden pins that keep the depth and spacing even. Due to operator error, there isn't any footage of the excellent CSA volunteer crew popping open the garlic cloves and then pushing the cloves into the dibbled holes. This is an hours-long project to break apart the bulbs, loosely sort them by size, and then get them planted without confusing the varieties. Hats off to Ellen for orchestrating this big project. The final step is to apply a thick layer of straw over the whole patch. You may notice that the crew are wearing masks, and that helps to protect them from the dust and mold spores in the straw. This year's unrelenting rain and moisture created storage problems in the barn. You can see that a lot of the normally bright yellow straw is coming out of the big round bales discolored. It has also kept those bales from unrolling evenly, creating more work for the crew in this final garlic planting process. One of the bright spots of all the rain we have endured this year is the relative ease we had in getting cover crops established. Flail mowing low or even scalping the soil surface slightly has left this ground ready to accept winter rye seed. The white clover that was sown under the eggplant has begun to grow vigorously in the cooler fall weather. The late summer cover of oats, peas, and daikon radish has filled in nicely and promises some ready mulched beds for spring transplants. Wherever the black silage tarps have been pulled away, it can be somewhat shocking to see the complete dieback of vegetation. The old strawberry beds shown here took a full 3 months to completely kill off the roots. The more tender sowings of annual spicy mix and arugula can die completely in a month or less, depending on the number of sunny days. Lastly, here are some shots of Sarah B's beautiful row of cut flowers. These late season blooms are still attracting a lot of native bees and predatory wasps. It is a valuable resource for them as they gather their stocks of energy for the coming winter. Thanks for watching. Questions and comments are welcome below. Catch you next time.